Hello and welcome to the Nighthawk Racing F1 RST Championship. I'm Luke Taylor, otherwise known as Midnight ISO, and I will be your host this evening and one of your co-commentators for this GT7 based championship. I am joined by motorsport enthusiast, racer and co-commentator Kirk Stancer.
Hello, I'm Kirk, Luke's partner in crime tonight. I'm glad to be back after the Expos 1, 2 and 3. I'm looking forward to getting round 1 underway tonight.
As am I. Should be a lot of fun. Right, as 2024 has barely begun, we get underway tonight, starting at the high speed ring with our very first official race event. We have an 8 race championship spanning 16 race sessions, 8 weeks, 13 different manufacturers, potentially 19 drivers, 5 legendary Grade 1 circuits, and 3 classic tracks from the world of Gran Turismo. The format tonight for the event is much the same as the previous exhibition events that we demoed in November and December, but here is a brief refresher. We have 3 official time sessions, with qualifying up first, followed by our first racing session with a reverse grid sprint race. We will then be treated to a 48 lap feature race, all at the forbidding track known as the High Speed Ring, feared and loved by many. Okay, Kirk, could you give us an overview of the event session format and point scale, please?
Yes, so starting tonight at about 8:30 UK time, we have a 10-minute qualifying session, where the key part of that session would be, what tyres do you qualify on? You take the soft tyres or the medium tyres to qualify on, because that is the tyre you have to start our main event tonight on, which is you. And then, so before we have that, the feature race, we have the sprint race, which is a 15 minutes race, reverse order from qualifying, with an open set tyre choice to start us off, with 5 times tyre wear and 3 times full fuel burn, which means coming towards the end of that 15 minutes, if you start on the soft tyres, your tyres could be looking a little bit worse for wear. And then during our feature race tonight, as my partner in crime Luke said, we have 48 laps in starting from the grid, and you have to use 2 sets of tyres, so the opposite tyre that you started the race on. That rule goes out the window if we have a wet race, which is when the water meter reads over a third. And then, and if exemptions, as I was saying, a point system. So our point system will be running as. Oh, Luke, if you want to take over for that.
Yeah, no problem. There'll be points for qualifying for the top 3, with 3 for the first, 2 for second, and 1 for third. In the race sessions, both races will get 2 points for the fastest lap for each driver. The sprint race itself runs from 20 down to 2 points down to 14th. The feature race is basically a scale of double, from 40 down to 4. So there's a lot of emphasis on both races rather than just the feature race, so we can have a bit of fun there, and it gives all the drivers a bit of an opportunity. So leading into the rest, basically. So Kirk, many of the drivers here you and I know very well, have raced against and enjoyed many a great moment with, both on and off track over the years since the days of GT Sport. But let's introduce our drivers and hear some details about them for our viewers.
Yeah, Ed, and if I can quickly say, most of our drivers here tonight will be streaming the race on Twitch tonight. So if you do want to look at anyone's perspective afterwards, or rewind to see an incident that we may have missed, please feel free to check out their Twitch channels and you'll see it from their own point of view. So first, starting off with Bertie. Big Crazy Bertie is a driver I feel often goes under the radar. Sometimes he may not be the fastest driver out on track, but he always pops up when you least expect him. He's always, his main skill set, as I seem to think for him, is that he can always avoid trouble and pull out a result towards the end of the race.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. Next is Up next is Chef, a veteran racer with experience to spare, showing us how the American lads do it. Pleased to see Chef on the grid, a late addition to the lineup, but a welcome one.
And then next, we move on to Deadline. We saw some impressive things from Deadline in the exhibition rate events, and I'm expecting much of the same heading into the season. Fast on his day and willing to pull off some daring moves when necessary.
Yep, quite right. Completely agree with that. Up next is Fred, our very own GT addict, aiming to finish all races. Also, recent addition to the Nighthawk Racing pre-GP Formula One events.
Next up, moving on to Kai. We saw Kai pull off a brilliant race in Brazil for our final expo event. His pace and the ability he showed us while being chased down by Swizzy is something that should put him for the favourites to actually win the title overall. As on this day, he is fastest on the grid.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with you. Up next is Kyrgios, one of our youngest drivers, but calm beyond his years, recently getting back into Gran Turismo racing, and my personal one-to-watch driver of the field.
Next up, we have Lee, a new face to join the grid, someone who I personally haven't seen race before, but I've heard plenty of positive things about. I think someone who could definitely challenge up at the top of the pack, maybe shuffle it up, maybe Swizzy and KD Dekai might not have it so easy with him here.
Quite possibly. Next up, Louis, the Dark Lord himself, known as Racing Roger, Dadbod Racing TTV, amongst many others. Lewis himself, super fast, super threat to the established top three, but was in reserve tonight, but unexpectedly racing. But he's here ahead of his race 3 expected debut, but good to see him nonetheless.
Yeah, next up we have McManley, someone who I'd never put out of contention for getting a podium. Blisteringly fast on his day. Always expect the unexpected with him. Yeah, and then we have Sarah, one of the founding fathers, or should we say, founding ladies of this of our Nighthawk Racing, and a very beloved part of our admin crew, is gracing us with her presence on track today.
Yeah, it's going to be good to see her out on track. Next we have Stephen, I believe. Bear with me a second. Yeah. Nope. Yes, there we go. We're getting there.
Someone who'll grind out the laps and show up towards the end of the race, and someone who I personally find will always use an alternative strategy to keep track position rather than maybe going a bit aggressive. And I'd also be looking out for him in the sprint race as well, as he can usually pull off quite a good defensive drive on his day.
Right. Next up is Simrace Dude. What can be said about this accomplished streamer and all-around good dude? Loving his racing back to GT7 in 23 and 24, looking to have fun and get good results. Top 5 will need to be aware of his speed and vast experience. And up last, Swizzy showed us all in the exhibition events that his speed is real and threat from even the back during the sprint races. I personally can't believe his raw speed and skills from a controller. Expect to see Oliver, or Swizzy as we know him, dicing at the front and enjoying his racing. One of my final top 3 picks of the podium and championship in our S01-R01 first season. So, Kurt, it looks like we have an interesting grid for tonight. However, it is worth mentioning that next week at Autopolis we will have a couple different drivers on board, so stay tuned for the rest of the racing action and driver lineups across the series. As I previously said, tonight that grid does look strong. To me, it looks like we'll see battles throughout the field with lots of equally talented drivers. Kirk, what are your thoughts on the upcoming event, and who do you expect to be strong?
I think tonight you've really got to look at the people who we saw do well in the Expo event. So I'm thinking Swizzy, I'm thinking KD Dekai, and Manley. I think they're all going to be right up the top there. Then we've also got to look at new people who are joining us tonight, and Lee and Chef. You know, two people who I personally haven't seen race in this league or this league format before. So I think maybe they could challenge at the top as well, Luke. I'm not sure about you.
Yeah, I would agree with you. The qualifying is just getting underway, by the way, and it's going to be worth saying that this is our first season, so expect the odd little haircut from us, but we are going to be here to enjoy things. So, to the track facts, let's get that underway before we do anything else. We'll bring up the action on screen so we can see that, but to the track facts. Okay, the high speed ring, a haven for the speed demons and precision drivers alike. Coming in at just under 4 kilometres or 2.5 miles approximately. Interestingly, it is an anti-clockwise circuit filled with many flat-out left-hand corners that really punish the right side of the car. The track itself is iconic, featuring in the very first Gran Turismo in the mid-90s, and has returned to GT7 after being absent from GT6 and Sport. No doubt a welcome addition to the tracks supplied, and certainly one to be feared with those unforgiving barriers just inches away from the racing line, though those sweeping corners 1, 2 and 5 especially will provide some problems. To me, this track is more of a challenge than an outright classic and historic track. Just to hang onto the car in the feature race for 48 laps is going to be of utmost priority. However, with pit stops here being long, fuel use being key, and tyre wear being high, consistency will be massively rewarded here. Kirk, what are your thoughts on the track?
I think you summed it up quite well. It's in the name, isn't it? High speed ring. I agree with you. We've got 3 long sweeping left-handers with really high banking, so it is just going to absolutely eat through that rear right tyre. And it's going to take an absolute beating. I think today, crucially, if you want to be able to defend successfully, your car is going to have a high top speed and good fuel economy if you want to try and make this track work in your favour. So I'm thinking. So people who have chosen the Mazda may struggle a bit because that Mazda is not the quickest vehicle in a straight line and tends to really drink the fuel up as well. But people I think will do well. I think Swizzy in the GTR. I think that GTR is a really good balance pick for a track like this. Really be able to make the most of those medium speed middle sector, while still having the grip for the high speed. What about you, Luke?
Yeah, that sounds about right, to be brutally honest. I mean, it's going to be entertaining to see what the differences in the cars make for the outright racing. And at the moment, we're looking at KD Dakai, then Koulios, and then Dabod Racing Louis. I say all in different cars, 2 of them in the RX Vision. But at the end of the day, it's going to be tight, I think, on lap times, but it's going to be a combination of lap time, tyre wear, and fuel, as all races are. However, this one, I think especially, it's going to be very, very tricky, and I'm personally going to be watching out for those GTRs, particularly in the hands of our Swizzy, who you see on screen at the moment in the white and gold livery, and KD the Kai. But at the moment, we do have our Louis Dadbod Racing TTV out in front, currently in P1. So I didn't expect that, Kirk. I didn't expect the RX Vision to be sitting on provisional pole. How about you?
Well, we've only just people have only just set their first lap, so maybe everyone hasn't really tested the boundaries of the grip of their cars. And it'd be interesting at tyre choice as well. We see a lot of our top 5 have all got time set on the medium tyre, so obviously they plan to go deeper into our feature race tonight before boxing.
Yep.
I think here is very important to maybe get a tow as well. If you can find someone willing to pull you along, that could be where you find all your lap time.
Yeah, we do see our Stephen at the moment, who is sitting behind Sarah Hawkey, who is, I think, getting a bit of a slipstream at the moment, just actually behind Swizzy now. So yes, that's a slipstream round here would be an absolute godsend. But so also, even though this is 1 times tyre wear in qualifying, this is still going to absolutely shred those tyres. So I think we're going to see a couple dashes into the pits for low fuel, fresh tyre runs as well, Kurt. But at the moment, we're waiting for Matt Manley to still set a representative time. He's only set a 1:17.0 so far, so that's disappointing from him, but he'll no doubt come back for something more in a minute, Kurt.
Yeah, absolutely. As you see, Swizzy is now beaten Dadbod, while Louis by about 10th and 3/4. Do you think he'll be able to hold it for the rest of the session, Luke?
Well, we'll see at the moment. Louis got a absolutely huge slipstream in the what looks like a there he goes P1, 28 thousandths faster with the slipstream off Kulios. So perhaps the Mazda's working together a little bit there, Kurt.
Team Mazda for the win, you know.
Does appear to be
a little bit argy-bargy going down towards turn 2 on my screen. I'm sure what you saw for you from it.
Saw a little bit of it, I can't lie, but hopefully it's just a little nerf and a little bit of reminder that he's there.
Yeah, Louis not one to shy away from using a bit of muscle.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Manley has set a time of 1:09.6 and jumps up to P4. So the drivers are moving around. I've seen most drivers are in fact going for the medium. I haven't seen anyone. Oh, Fred is on the soft currently coming up the pit, so he's going to be going for a last minute, low fuel run, I believe, on those soft tyres. So we have 4 minutes left to go. Keep an eye on Fred.
We've also got Lee, who's on a lap right now using the soft tyre. I can't help but think, would the soft tyre be a mistake for the feature race? Because obviously we've seen in our practice beforehand that they weren't really sticking up after about 10 or so laps.
Well, it's the age-old question. Do you go for outright pace and position, or do you go for strategy, Kirk? And at the moment, Kulios is at 1:09.7, and I believe Deadline, who was on the wheel for the first time in an official event, has jumped up to 6th place as well. So nice from the Welshman there.
And then we also saw it in Brazil, didn't we? Where KD Dekai set his time on the soft tyre, and then Mike was just able to pull away straight away from the front, and then not be challenge ready for the rest of the event.
Yep, we did indeed. That's a very valid point, Kirk. And it's something that we will need to be aware of, and strategy will play key. We thought KD Dekai in the third expo had made a mistake, but it turned out to be a blinder, didn't it?
Absolutely. Really showed us commentators, didn't he?
Yeah, there's a reason why we're commentating and not driving at this one. But Big Crazy Bertie is, at the moment, the surprise of the grid for me, sitting in P5, and looks like he's going faster coming into the final corner. This corner itself is a tricky little sod, but if you take that high line, you can really keep the speed going. It looks like he might even have a slipstream from Louis. Somewhere he has actually, I believe, improved, but he's still dropped. Like, no, there he goes, back up to 5th. You're showing me wrong, showing me up again.
I mean, this is really close qualifying. Look at that. The top 7 are within a second of each other. Everyone on the same tyre. Oh, Deadline getting a bit sideways out the final corner.
Yep, he's reset back to the pits. Mac is going in for a set of tyres. He's got 2 minutes plus the lap that he'll be on to set a faster lap. So he's clearly going for the top 3. And at the moment, it is somewhat as we expected. The top 4 being Louis, who is an absolute alien, followed by Swizzy, funny enough, an alien, KD Dekai, and I'm just going to keep this going, and McManley, both aliens, at the top 4. So, we did expect to see this, but in what order we do not know, we still don't know. So, let's see what we can see around the track. Mac looks like he's absolutely hooked up on those fresh set of tyres. But yeah, Big Crazy Bertie, so far the surprise of the session for me. We'll see how it all filters out.
Louis, I don't think Louis got enough time left. Louis just come into the pit. I think Louis and Swizzy's session might be over.
Yeah, they've got a minute 10 seconds, and that's how long the lap is.
Yeah, Swizzy just coming out of the pits now. I don't think they've got enough time left to set a lap. So first and second will not be setting another lap this session, or third place for that matter. The Kai's just come out of the pits as well with only a minute left. So
Yeah.
really, so our
Ooh.
last person who's able to challenge our top three is fourth place Bertie, who is down in the first sector, which is probably not what he wants to see.
No, I mean, those tyres are going to start to be wearing now, despite being on a lower fuel load. Yeah, but Louis won't get around again. Swizzy, I don't think he will get around again. Katie the Kai is going to be on the cusp. Bertie is going to be on fumes as he comes round. Mac is definitely going to get another lap, but I don't know if he's got enough fuel, Kirk, looking at it.
Yeah, if he's on a lap right now, him and Deadline are both on a lap.
No, he's going to be on fumes coming round, and oh, that is high on that wall. That is a good bit of footage, that one. Otherwise, we still have Deadline out there. Koulios is out there doing well in 7th. Fred's come in the pits. Sim Race Dude, we haven't seen much of him so far. I love that Aston. In 9th at the moment. Lee, our new gentleman to the series, is currently in 10th. Sarah in 11th, and Chef in 12th at the moment, with Stephen still out on track, setting a lap. So, here we go. Everyone's on the final lap. I think Swizzy got round. No, he didn't. He didn't, nor did KD the Kai.
Deadline coming up to the line is up in the first and second sector, and he improves by a 10th.
Here comes Mac across the line. Goes P4, just ahead of Bertie. That's unlucky for Bertie. So Koulios is still out on track. Is he on a hot lap, Kurt? I think he is.
Dude improved by a 10th. Yeah, Koulios is on a lap, so I didn't see whether he's improving or not, but he's definitely coming on the final lap, going around the final corner.
Here he goes. Koulios across the line. Our Dreadmite, otherwise known as Koulios. Currently 7th. Stays 7th. Do we have anyone out there on a fast lap? I think that's it. Kurt.
Yeah, that is it. This is our grid for our feature race tonight, and then obviously we reverse for the main, or for the sprint race. Does that means Steve and Chef are our first and second for our sprint race, with Sarah fifth.
Well, that's a surprising session.
Yeah. Well, look at our top 7 separated by 9/10 of a second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's very close at the front there. Anyone could have topped that pretty much.
It's good to see Bertie, one of our Nighthawk Racing admin, in P5. That's a great result. Deadline on the wheel for his first competitive event, I believe, in P6. That is great to see. So, Kurt, why don't you give us a rundown from top to bottom?
Yeah, so, starting first, we have for our feature race tonight, our main event, it would be Louis on pole, followed by Swizzy, followed by Kai, followed by McManley, Bertie. Well, I must have an absolutely blinder of a qualifying session. It'll put him in a great place for the race.
Yeah,
so after Bertie, we got Deadline, as you said, on the wheel. Very impressive performance from him to only be 7/10 away from pole on using the wheel for the first time in a proper event. And we have Fred, who's a bit further behind. Well, Koulios, who's again only not even 9/10 away. Then we have P8 Fred, who's a further 4/10 back from Koulios, followed by Sim Racing Dude, Lee, Sarah, Chef, and then Stephen, who rounds out the back of the grid. And as I said earlier, Stephen will be at the front for our sprint race tonight. You think he can hold it up? You think he'll be able to seek a podium, Luke?
Well, it's going to be an interesting one. This being the reverse grid and a rolling start, it's going to be interesting. We might have 13 cars into turn 2, all side by side. So who really knows? But I'm itching to get going. I believe the drivers are all ready. Are you ready, Kirk?
Absolutely. Where would you want to start for this sprint race? I think Stephen could be under a lot of pressure from Chef or Sarah, for that matter, heading into turn 2, which is our first actual corner with a slight break-in zone.
Yeah, I would
do you
agree.
think we see? How long do you think it would take for Katie the Kai or Swizzy or Louis, for that matter, to be able to work their way through some of the mid-pack?
Well, they're all going to be coming up through together, aren't they? So it's anyone's guess. But I'm hoping we're going to see a little bit of an upset, but one way or the other. But let's see what goes on with the race. Let's get cracking. Good luck, all the drivers out there.
Who do you think, Luke, Who is your money on your podium tonight for our sprint race?
Who's won money on the podium? Oh, that's a very good question, actually. I think anyone would be nuts to count out either Swizzy, KD the Kai, or Mac, of course. But we will see what goes on with the rest of it. But here we go. We'll have Stephen starting on pole for the sprint, and here we go, Kirk. Time for the race.
Yes. As Stephen leads us up to the line, and there we are. Race is underway. So we have Stephen, who didn't get a good start and has already lost a position to Chef. And what a poor start from Stephen! It's already dropping down the pack, Luke.
Yeah, he is. Sarah's going for P1. Taking the inside line on the long left-hander. Chef taking the high line. Lee's coming up close behind. It's a slipstreaming battle here. Down to turn 2. The first big braking move of the day. There goes Lee. Is he taking the inside? Is he going for P1?
Yeah, nope. But Sarah will have that better run. Higher line means better run. Carries more speed into turn 3. And is that 4 wide I see behind the main pack loop?
I think it is. It's too tight to call what's going on here. It's some great racing. Everyone's paying each other a lot of respect. They have all been asked to give each other a bit of space on the first lap. Let it unfold. Oh, so a big wiggle there. I think that was from Chef, I believe. Yes, it was. Big wiggle coming up under the tunnel. But he's still riding there in 4th place. He's doing well. And all drivers have stayed up the barrier for the first lap. Good bit of racing so far. Sarah will lead across the line, followed by Lee. Deadline in 3rd, going for P2, going down the inside, followed by Chef and Kulios. Take it from there, Kirk.
Yeah, so we have Chef keeping to the outside line, which we saw on the first lap. Maybe didn't work the best, but then we have everyone running basically 2 by 2 as they run into turn 2 again for the first lap. For the second lap. Is that, I see again, going green and white, everyone trying to fight for the second. Oh,
a little bit of wheel banging.
Louis. Yeah, wheel banging. There's almost like bumper cars back there, Luke.
Yeah, it looks like the same at the front. We had Deadline banging wheels with Lee there at the moment. Looked honest enough, but we have Kulios is making his way through the field up to P3 at the moment, challenging Deadline for P2. I did say to watch him. We've lost Lee. We've lost Lee. He's spun coming out of the tunnel. That, unfortunately, I think will be major damage for Lee there. Yeah, he's got front end aero damage, but he will survive for another day. Still got 7.5 minutes left of this race. Let's see what's going on at the front. Sarah's still leading. Deadline across the start-finish line. And it's a slipstream battle now, Kirk. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to, I think, P12.
So we've got Deadline, who's closing in on Sarah. Sarah chooses to not defend, gives Deadline the inside line, and Deadline says thank you very much and just goes straight through.
Yeah, and then Sarah. Yeah, Sarah just skimming the wall. No, Sarah has damage. That's going to slow her up, sadly. But hopefully she can just keep going. It's a long race still yet. And, he's got collisions.
Yeah, I think Sarah was on the outside, but Manley didn't leave her much room and kind of pitted himself into the wall. I don't know if you saw that and what you saw on your screen.
Yeah, possibly that could be one for the stewards afterwards, but that is big damage from Mac. That's going to be not what he was looking for, but at the end of the day, he's still got the feature race to go. Deadline has taken the lead. We've lost Sarah down to 7th somewhere. But Deadline out in front on the wheel, doing well. Kulios up to P2. Louis. There he is, the Dark Lord himself, up to P3. He looks like he's trying to run away with this one. Kulios is going to have to watch out because he's going to be launching down the inside. Big Crazy Bertie in P4, doing great. Swizzy P5, there he is, one of our championship contenders. Fred P6, doing well. KD the Kai will want to be higher than that P7, but we've still got 6 minutes left, so still time to work. Sarah with a little bit of damage, fighting with Chef, followed by Sim Race Dude, Stephen and McManley. I believe Lee's still here. He's still circulating. He's going to just be hoping that we have a couple of dropouts or incidents ahead. And just as we go to Deadline, he has spun it. Coming out the second corner. He's going to drop to the back of the field. That's not what he wanted, Kirk.
Danger.
I'm glad we have
rejoin as well.
Yeah, I'm glad we have ghosting on. That's why we had it. Koulios leads. Followed by the Dark Lord himself, Louis, and Big Crazy Bertie. It's a good one
This
so
is
far.
the absolute blinder from Bertie. He would be ecstatic with this performance. Starting, was it P9, P10, P9, and up on the podium after 5 minutes.
Yeah, he would be about that.
If he can stay in the tow of the 2 cars in front of him, surely people will struggle to be able to overtake him. Yeah. Especially when Fred behind him's on the softs that are now looking quite second hand as well.
Yeah, Fred's going to be gasping for it on the final lap, I feel. And he's getting passed by Swizzy and KD the Kite in one go. Those are the 2 that we saw dicing at Interlagos a couple of weeks ago. So, keep an eye on those 2. You see Fred taking a much tighter line as well through turn 2. But KD the Kite is now on the back of Swizzy. Out front, Louis has got into lead. He has got Koulios. So, if Koulios is smart, he'll just stay with him, and so will Big Crazy Bertie. But they have Swizzy and KD the Kai. Catch up with them quick. This is going to get tense. Go.
Absolutely. I think this is probably the best way to go about it, would be just trying to stick in the slipstream with the car in front of you and not leaving the attack until like the last 2 or 3 laps, because unless you can break that tow, you are in a lot of trouble trying to defend. And we see Bertie, I think, ran into the wall at the last corner, letting Swizzy pass.
Oh, but he's back in the slipstream. Here he comes. Will he give him a bump draft, or will he go for the place? What would you do, Kirk?
I think I would recognise Swizzy as the faster driver and let Swizzy try and actually keep him up. Because obviously we saw from previous events how fast Swizzy can be. Maybe use him as like an education tool.
Big slide from Bay. Got away with it.
Yeah, but he's lost 2 positions now to KD the Kai and Fred.
Yeah, somewhere we lost KD the Kai and Fred off the back of them lot. Now they're obviously back up in front of Bertie. Oh, we've lost Fred. There we go. We had a spin. That looks like that rear right tyre life has caught up with him. And he still has another 3 minutes to go as he drops back down to 9th, just ahead of Stephen, who somewhere has picked up rear end damage, so he might have had a trip backwards into a barrier. So we're going to go from the back upwards at the moment. Mac has pitted somewhere because that damage has gone, and he is on fresh soft tyres, looking to scalp a couple of positions towards the end, I feel. Lee in 12th, Deadline in 11th, and there he goes. He's lost the back end coming through the final corner, and front end damage. Looks like even the medium tyres weren't enough for that Lamborghini, Kurt. Lee in 11th. Stephen in 10th, Fred in 9th, Sim Race Dude in 8th, Chef doing fantastic in 7th, Sarah despite damage in 6th, Big Crazy Bay having the race of his life in 5th, KD the Kai 4th, Swizzy in 3rd, Koulios in 2nd, I think he's candidate for driver of the day so far, and Louis in 1st, despite coming from the back, so good couple of drives here. Oh, nearly lost it, Koulios.
But crucially, he's lost that toe to Louis in front. That means he'll be under a lot of pressure from that GTR of Swizzy, who has a lot better top speed than that Mazda does. But they're looking at tyre life. Although Swizzy's fronts are slightly worse than Koulios's, look at their rear right tyre, probably the most important tyre of them all.
Yeah, I agree. We've just seen coming out the pit lane, we have Deadline, who's going to be a lap down. Fred has pitted in 9th, but Deadline's come out a lap down, gone back onto medium tyres. I think that's an opportunity lost to go for the fastest lap there. But Fred is pitting. He'll probably go for soft tyres again. But keeping an eye on Koulios and Swizzy. This battle. Oh, looks like Swizzy and KD the Guy almost hit the wall there. But that's the name of this track, Kirk, isn't it? You've got to get close to it.
Yeah, you've got to use all of that banking you can. That's where your time is. You really want to load them outside tyres up to be able to compress them and give yourself as much grip as possible, allowing you to carry that extra speed through the corner. Yeah, you've really got to take advantage of it.
I agree. And eyeballing it, I'd say KD the Kai, with his front right, has the worst tyres out of the top 4. However, sometimes you can get away with it on this course, but I think we will be starting our final lap now. It's about 1:09 for a lap. We've got 30 seconds left to go. This will be the final lap, Kurt.
Yeah, no worry. Yeah, final lap it is. So Louis, in the end, managed after that Koulios mistake. It was like in the end he's going to be able to take the win. Interesting to see if Koulios can defend from Swizzy on the final lap. Here we are. We got Swizzy with the run on him.
Yeah, we'll stay with this.
He backs off, and then we have Hayden Kai a bit further behind, followed by Bertie, who's kind of in his race of his own now. P5, he'll be very happy with that result. We're not really challenged from Sarah behind, who's got wheel damage now. Then we've got Chef, followed by Sim Racing Dude, Muck Manley, who's just picking up scraps at this point after that early spin.
Sticking with this, Kurt. This is where the battle's going to be for P2. It's 4 tenths between Swizzy and Koulios coming to the final corner. Has Swizzy left any fuel in the tank, metaphorically speaking? I think Koulios is going to do it. He's going to retain P2. Louis is going to take P1, the sprint victory from the back. Takes the win, followed by Koulios, followed by Swizzy, and then Katie the Kai. Big crazy Bertie's picking up a P5. Cracking result. Sarah, despite damage, P6. And take it from there, Kurt.
You've got a mistake, Luke. It's 15 minutes, not 10.
It used to be 10 minutes. It used to be 10 minutes. That's why I'm getting confused. So this is...
Qualifying was 10 minutes. The sprint race is 15.
We used to have it set at 10 minutes. I'll confuse myself. So, well, this is going to keep going. Damn. This is going to absolutely keep going for another few minutes. The tyre life is going to be absolutely shot for all tyres. So hard tyres might have been the way to go. Can we get Louis to the end on another 3 minutes?
I don't think they can do it. I think this is played fantastically into McManley's hands. Obviously, that early spin meant he had to box for a new set of tyres, and if people in front of him have to pit, he looks like he's going to be in great shape for this, for possibly a top 5.
Yeah, and Katie the Kai's tyres are absolutely dead on the front right. None of them are pitting, though. None of the drivers are pitting, so they're just going to keep circulating with dead tyres. I mean, let's face it, the lap times aren't that bad. Even with near-dead tyres, Louis in the Dabble Racing TTV is still lapping in the 1:09s. Oh, yeah. Swizzy ran the outside of Koulios there.
I missed that. You have to talk us through what happened there, Luke.
Swizzy went round the outside of Koulios. There you go.
I think like Louis' tyres are just about giving up now.
Yeah, Koulios is massively struggling with the rear tyres. So is Katie the Kai in the background with that front right. I think the hard tyre would have been the tyre to go for on this race, Kurt, which is strange for a sprint race, isn't it?
This is valuable information. Valuable information for our main event tonight, our feature race. Because we see that these medium tyres can barely last 12 laps or 11 laps even. So obviously shows us how the soft tyre is not really a tyre that would be good to use in the feature race unless we have changeable weather where the soft tyres can really excel, which gets maybe a little bit damp. We're not damp enough for inters.
Yeah, that's going to be key. If we get any form of weather, which the drivers will be having to look out for, it's going to be absolutely key. But at the front, we do have Louis, who's looking like he's starting to slow up a bit now. His last lap was a second slower. Swizzy's coming at him. He's the only one who's got rear tyres left out of the two of them. Koulios looks like he's struggling as well. And Katie the Kai's got some rear tyre life as well. Looks like the pack might close up a little bit. 5.2 covering the top 4.
I mean, yeah, everyone is struggling on their tyres. We didn't. I knew it was going to be quite close. Louis wide, allowing Swizzy to come past. I think this is Swizzy's race now because he's still got some rear tyre life left, which will allow him to be much better on the traction zones.
Yeah, quite right. I think you're quite right. Out of turn 2 and out of turn 5, there's going to be Swizzy with the advantage. But I don't think it's over, you know, because Louis has that slipstream. However, fuel. 30 seconds left, and then 2.5 minutes left, rather. I think fuel's going to be the biggest problem here. We actually upped the fuel usage to 70 litres for this session, but it looks like it's not enough, Gert. We're still struggling to make it round.
I think looking at the top 3, it might be Louis who's got the least amount of fuel.
Katie the Kai with the most.
Yeah. That's it.
Looks like Chef is running out of fuel. He's running on fumes. Looks like he's going to have to pit. Sarah's got him into, I think, turn 3. Yes, it is indeed. Even Sarah's going to be struggling to make it round. So I think it's going to be fuel mode 6 and most of the drivers out there. It's set for... No, even including McManley, who has, unfortunately, as I've joined him, gone for a spin.
It's curse.
Yep.
Our race is now over. So Swizzy takes the win tonight in our sprint race, followed by Louis, followed by Kulios, King of the Kai, Bertie, who's done a fantastic job to get P5, followed by Sarah, who must have had an incident on the last lap.
I think she's run out of fuel.
She got heavy front end damage as well.
Oh, yes.
Civic must happen on that final lap.
Yeah. Simrisu comes across in 7th, Mac in 8th, Fred in 9th, Stephen will get there in 10th, and Chef in 11th, and Lee and Deadline have already finished. So that was interesting.
Yeah, it was.
And just had a message from Sarah, said she had a spin. Lol.
Whoops.
It happens.
So, very interesting. Kulios and Bertie stand out as my 2 top drivers from this sprint race. Kulios getting that podium P3 with Bertie getting P5. 2 very impressive drives from the both of them. I think it's probably Kulios is my drive for the day, but Bertie is right up there as well. I don't know about you, Luke.
Yeah, I would be very, very inclined to agree with you. Right, the drivers will have a couple of minutes break before the next race, but we can just have a quick talk about that one. And, well, frankly, yeah, I agree with your assessment on that. Cracking from Kulios and Big Crazy Bertie, but Swizzy stealing the win there at the end in the last lap or so. Absolutely start to flag action, Kirk.
Yeah, it shows you the importance of conserving those rear tyres, because Swizzy left a little bit of life in his tyres for the last few laps, and obviously allowed him to use what was left of the tyres to overtake Louis. I think what we expected from our podiums from before the race was actually pretty good. You know what we're saying. Swizzy, we expected Swizzy and Louis to be up there, from what you said as well. I think overall enjoyable race, Luke.
Yeah, absolutely, and quite frankly, with the feature race, which is going to be 48 laps, which is much, much easier for me to keep track of, is going to be I think it's going to be fun. We've seen already those tyres are shredding out there, and this is leading into what can be, quite frankly, a very good feature race. But sprint was fun there. I enjoyed that. Bring on the next one, Kurt. Any particular thoughts on how that might play out?
I think it might be a Swizzy job. I think Swizzy might win this. You know, if nobody can stay in his toe, if no one can like save tires on fuel in his toe, I think this has got Swizzy's name written all over it. I don't know if anyone else could challenge him. Maybe Louis, but as we saw in the sprint race, those tires on the Mazda did not last at all.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely agreed. That was nail-biting, to say the least.
Oh, absolutely. Right. That last lap move from Swizzy to get him the win, especially from someone as aggressive as Louis.
Yeah, and those two wrestling like titans towards the end. That was done very well, and to be only 2 tenths apart from each other. And yeah, that Well, we didn't expect that, did we?
So I'm just checking the radar right now, and the radar says it looks like it should be clear for the most part.
Well, one
Yeah.
thing we know, over 48 laps, about 50 to 55 minutes, the weather can change drastically. So we'll keep an eye on that. It was a clean sprint race, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean the feature race is going to be clear.
Oh, so who do you think yourself, Luke? Who do you think's going to win this race?
Well, I'm going to be putting money on probably an outsider of that one for KD the Kai. I think he had good longer run pace, and it was unfortunate not to get into the top two. But keep an eye out for Kulios, and I think Big Crazy Bear is in with a shout of a podium as well. So win wise, who knows? At the end of the day, I think anything can happen. What's your outright thoughts? Bear with me. I'll be back in a moment. Just got to set up the lobby.
I think for the race today, or for a main race, as we saw, lots of like half spins and spins in our sprint race. So I think we're looking at people who can keep it on the track, control the rear tire where to where you have some tires left, and that your rears aren't wearing out faster than your fronts. I think probably wheel users have the advantage at this track just because they can control their their steering inputs better than what a controller can, meaning that obviously you can use less tires or put less scrubbing on the front tires where you conserve them more, as well as the pedals is a lot easier to control throttle inputs than you can on a controller. So it's much easier to conserve the tires on the wheel than it is on the controller. If you know what I'm saying, Luke.
Yeah, I certainly do. And the other thing that we're going to have to look out for is what tyres they start on, as you say.
Yeah.
It's going to be key here.
I think they started on the people who qualified on the mediums are probably going to have the advantage here. So I think that's pretty much everyone qualified on the mediums apart from Steve and Lee, who I think were both soft runners. Yeah, but other than that, unless they can really make use of the tires early, and obviously take advantage of the soft tires, I don't think anyone can really do anything. You know what I'm saying, Lou? I think
No, I hear you,
this
man.
race will be. I think this will be a bit of a slipstream. Slips. Sorry about that. I think this race will be a bit of a slipstream fest.
I think so. If anyone is going to be wanting to save a little bit of that precious fuel, is going to be have to do exactly that. Right, in a couple of moments' time, we will be getting underway. So I think all the drivers are ticked in. Just bear with us, and we'll be right there.
Who do you think? Who do you think? Would you to say if you're someone like a Katie the Kai who may be running, who may not be quick enough to um, challenge the top two, but has got a big gap to the cars behind? Would you try and set the fastest lap of the race in coming towards the end of the race or not?
Definitely, there's some good little set of points there. There's 3 points for the qualifying pole and 2 points for the fastest lap of the race, which in the first race went to Swizzy. So, for the grids, as a refresher, for this race, we're going to have Louis on pole, followed by Swizzy, Katie the Guy, McManley, Big Crazy Bertie, Deadline, Kulios, Fred, Sim Race Dude, Lee, Sarah, Hawkey, and then Chef, and then Stephen. So, let's get cracking. And it's worth saying, also, this race is going to be a grid start. So, to the track. Here we go.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Louis chooses to defend going into turn two. Can he defend? Because obviously it's a massive run down into turn two, and he has to defend from people like Katie the Kai, Swizzy, and McManley, who's going to have an absolute monster run.
Yeah,
I think
completely
I think
agree with you.
I think I've got my money on Muckman leading after lap 1. If he plays his cards right and uses all the slipstream, I think he could be leading the way.
Yeah.
But,
Unfortunately, I can see Louis, who's in reverse at the moment. Don't want to be doing that. Here we go. Take it away, Kirk.
Yeah. So as we get this race underway, we have Swizzy with a fantastic start, followed by Louis. Louis, followed by Manley and Katie the Kai rounding out our top 4. Manley in the slipstream with Swizzy gets past Louis. He pulls to the outside, trying to take the outside line on Swizzy, but Swizzy has that inside line with less resistance and a quicker line. We had Louis tucked back in behind, and we go 3 wide into turn 2 with Louis on the inside, Manley in the middle, and Swizzy on the outside. Louis backs out with Swizzy taking the high line. Swizzy taking the high line and clear. We have Hayden Kai, who maybe nabbed that barrier a little bit, with a good run down into turn 3. Trying to go around the outside of Manley. Can he make the move stick? He breaks later than Manley, trying to hold the run around the outside. But here we go. But as we come on the switchback, it gives Manley the high line, although now Hayden Kai's in front. Then further behind, we have Fred, who's moved up to P4. What a start from him. I didn't see what happened to Bertie, but Bertie's dropped a few positions right down to P8. And Deadline up to P5 after. So, Manley is trying to take the lower line. He's keeping the speed around the outside. The line that Manley took into the final corner left him with the pressure from Fred. As Fred comes past, using the full advantage of those soft tyres to make that move stick, and then pulls over to give into Katie the Kai. So Luke, we saw that it's so important getting a good run out of that last corner, Luke. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, it's all key around here. I mean, you don't lose speed down until you get down to turn 2, and then it's basically turn 3 back round to turn 2 again. So carrying speed around here is absolutely essential. You see a lot of drivers taking that high line, which is technically the better line for tyre wear and for speed, but you will get a bit of variation in skill and line around here. So Swizzy out in front. Hello to Jabril in the chat. Hello to Swizzy in the chat as well, who was commenting before we got going. So Swizzy out front. Katie the Kai in second. Fred in third. A very surprise third, but he's on those soft tyres and he's pushing for it, Kirk. Mac in fourth. Deadline in fifth. Louis has dropped down to sixth with Koulios behind him, but it looks like this pack are kind of breaking away a little bit, with Lee taking up the sort of the second part of the grid, taking the rest of them round.
Yeah, we've now got our, as I guess we kind of expected it after seeing the gap in qualifying, that we did expect the top 7 to maybe break away a little bit compared to the second half of the grid. But we also see at the front that Katie Kai is trying desperately to stay in this toe of Swizzy. If Swizzy breaks that toe, I feel like
Fred's going for it though. Fred taking that tighter line, didn't carry as much speed, trying to take Katie the Kai. Katie the Kai just played it a bit smarter, stayed out in front, carried the speed. But Fred's got to try and get past it and make use of those soft tyres. But he will be in before most of the people behind him, including Louis, Koulios, Mac, Big Crazy Bertie. In fact, I think most of the drivers are on mediums.
But Deadline stopped on the exit of turn 2. I'm not sure what's happened there. It was a bit of desync or something. I don't know if you see that, Luke.
Yeah, I can see the same. He is stopped in the middle of turn 2. That is unfortunate. I don't know what is going on there. Hopefully he'll get moving again in a moment.
No, we've got Fred, who's... Yeah, Louis setting the fastest lap of the race in P4. But he's very close to losing touch to the guys in front of him. If that gap goes over a second, is when you start losing the effect of the toe.
Yeah. I fully agree. We've got yellow flags coming into this sector. Is Max still there? No, his deadline. Yeah, the deadline is still there. We've lost Fred, I believe. I think Fred has had a spin due to that. That is unfortunate. I don't know what why deadline is stood in the middle of the track. We'll have to deal with that. Bear with us a moment.
Yeah. So we've got Louis swerving. We have Koulios, who's overtaken.
Is deadline still on track?
Yes, but he's moved to the side. Yeah, so we have Swizzy, followed by Louis, followed by Koulios, who's up to third again, and then so Koulios makes his move on Louis to take P2. Louis, I think, got a slight bump from McManley, who's now up to P2. We have our top five, yeah, our top five, followed by split by half a second. Louis seems to be a little bit laggy.
Hopefully that sorts itself out in the next few minutes.
Hopefully. So Koulios is now leading the way, followed by McManley and Swizzy. Louis, followed by Katie and Kai round out our top five, all in our little train with each other. Then we have Bertie, who's in P6, followed by Stephen, who's in their own little two-way battle, followed by Lee and Sarah, who's in another little two-person battle. Then 3 seconds behind Sarah, we have Sim Racing Dude and Chef, again in their own little two-person race. And then Fred running out the back of our pack. After that little spin he had, he's moved on to the hard tyre. He's pitted and moved to the hard tyre.
Yeah, that sounds like a logical thing. Unfortunately, he would have had major damage with that collision with Deadline just sat in the middle of the track. Unfortunately, we had to lose him. Koulios is out front at the moment. I think Mac and the rest of the field will be just sitting with him, just trying to save fuel, because they all know it's an absolute fuel killer around here. We are seeing a bit of desync from Louis, so be careful out there, Louis.
Be careful out there, everyone. We don't want to get some phantom damage from a desyncing car. Oh, it looks like KD the car might be just losing touch slightly with this group. Although, looking at tyre wear, it looks like McManley has the worst tyre wear, followed by Louis. But I think Swizzy's probably in the best shape of this. He's got the best tyre wear. Fuel's looking about the best out of the group. What do you think? Where would you want to be in this group?
At the moment, I want to be KD the Kai, out the way of all the carnage and potentially ahead, and just watching the battles unfold behind him. I think we spotted Stephen going into the pits, taking an early pit stop, trying to get rid of those medium tyres. It looks like he's had damage in the final corner, collecting the front wing, but he's taking the opportunity to add some fresh tyres and hopefully refuel as well. Yeah, he's refueling just a little bit and then the back off out. So back off out to the front. These top four are absolutely glued together with KD the Kai watching behind. Koulios showing what he's made of. The youngest man of the field out in front at the moment. Only 3 tenths ahead, Kirk.
The youngest person on our grid showing everyone how it should be done, leading the way. So maybe a bit of an experience showing as his leading pad, burning the most fuel, and possibly using the most amount of tyres as well.
I will say his tyres look better than McManley's right behind him, but as we saw in the other race, we did see Louis gone into the pits, but we did see in the other race, not necessarily the tyre wear mattered too much. It was more just keeping going with the fuel.
It's like Lee is also on the mediums as well. Lee is also struggling with tyres quite a lot of tyre wear. It'd be interesting to see how Stephen does now on the hard tyre, how he compares running to now. Although it might not help if people are pushing each other along, doing a bit of bump drafting.
Yeah, it might help indeed. I've got to say, out there, just looking around, I'm liking what I'm seeing from Big Crazy Bertie and Sarah, who have a lot of tyre life left. Somewhere Mac has got ahead of Koulios, but we know from being on boards that Mac's front right tyre is getting close to imminent death, basically. So, Koulios is now being followed by Swizzy, who was our sprint race winner, and KD the Kai. So these four battling it out, but trying to stretch out the advantage from Big Crazy Bertie and downwards. What do you think so far, nearly 10 minutes into this race?
I think what's happened to Louis? Louis stuck in the pits. I'm not sure what's happened to Louis, but he's in the pits. On my screen anyways. He's been in the pit box for about 1:20 now.
I
He's dropped right down.
believe he's withdrawn due to the lag, so he's taken himself out of the race. That's very good of him.
You never like to see it, but if it's for the competition, it's nothing really much you can do, is there?
Koulios is going for the race lead down into turn 3 up against McManley. He's going wheel to wheel, that RX Vision against that AMG. Dice in one way, cutting back under the other. So Koulios will have the inside line coming into the final corner, but I wouldn't be too surprised if we see a couple of these drivers jump into the pits after this, especially Mac. Those tyres look like they're dead. Oh, careful, Koulios.
Squeezed into a wall a little bit, knocks a bit of speed off. This could be perfect for Manley yet. Well, Manley's boxing this lap. That leaves Swizzy and Koulios leading the way.
Yeah, and that will be Koulios back into the lead. So, here we go again.
The best tyres are the top 3 as well, unless you count Swizzy's rears, which I think is probably more important here because of the camber at most of these corners. So where front tyre wear doesn't matter that much, because those rears you really want for the traction out of said corners.
Yeah,
then we've got Lee, whose front right is completely dead.
Yeah, I'm not surprised seeing that. That's Lee in 6th place. So I think he's going to keep circulating because his times aren't that bad. 1 minute 12. He can keep circulating until that fuel comes down. I think that might be his plan. Sarah's spun. She hasn't picked up any damage, but that's going to drop her back down the field. That's unlucky. It looks like that rear tyre deg has caught her out in turn 2. So that's a little bit fortunate, but that's going to be about a 10-second loss there.
Yeah, but Manley's back out on the medium tyre, hoping to chase down the leaders on his fresh tyres.
Top 3 keep going.
Yeah, top 3 keep going. I mean, if you're running time, but if you're all running in the low 1 minute 10s, why shouldn't you keep going? They are very competitive times.
Quite right.
It'd be interesting to see what Manley sets in clean air, even if he doesn't have a slipstream or anything. See how his times compare to the front runners, see if he can make that undercut work.
Yeah, quite right. And we do have Chef, who's our late addition to this season, who is actually on the back of him, despite having dead tyres, is going past McManley, showing you the power of that slipstream.
Koulios into the wall on the exit of turn 2.
That's unfortunate. That's picked up damage front left. He'll be in this lap.
That's what happens. Obviously, when your tyres get as worn as that, you have to be really, really careful on the throttle. Obviously, just is a little bit too aggressive without putting straight into the wall.
Yeah.
But is that him out of the top podium battle?
For now, at least, as we see Katie Lakai and Swizzy in P1, P2 still going at it in those GTRs with very similar tyre wear and fuel. They're going to be matching each other. Koulios is coming into the pits to repair that damage. No big surprise. What tyres will he go for? Big Crazy Bertie's unfortunately had a spin and damage as well, so he'll be in the pits, which will put Lee, I think, up to P5 if he can stay out on track. No, he comes into the pits also. Mac goes up to P6, followed by Sim Race Dude. But this is the thing around here, despite having fresher tyres, it doesn't mean everything, because the slipstream is king around here. Sim Race Dude might go past Mac despite having those dead tyres. It's an interesting one, but we have in P6, Koulios in the pits, Big Crazy Bertie's in the pits, Lee's in the pits, the only one without damage. Stephen had damage earlier on, running on the hard tyres now, circulating nicely. Sarah has now come into the pits as well. I think maybe had another spin somewhere, but at very least has no damage, or will be straight out again. Fred in P11 had that early incident with Deadline, stopped on the track. Louis has stopped in the box and is probably observing. Out front, this is going to be a close one, Kirk. Only 8 tenths apart, coming across the start-finish line again.
I just want to take a note that our last lap, Manley set a 1 minute 10.0 compared to our leader's Swizzy's 11.1, and then Katie Dekai's 10.6. So those fresh tyres are about half a second to a second quicker than our front two. This lap, Manley goes and sets a 1 minute 9.2, which is a tenth off our fastest time overall, and again about a second and a half quicker than Swizzy last lap, and almost 2 seconds quicker than KD Dekai last lap. Manley even without the slipstream, is absolutely flying. What do you think, Luke?
Well, it's a tricky one. Mac looks like he's got the raw speed going through that turn too. Oh, almost looks like wall riding, he's so close. But it's 17 seconds. That's the gap. This middle sector is where he's going to make up the time compared to the other drivers. I mean, he's taken half a second out in one corner there.
Yeah, but it's what tyre life does to you. Does to a guy. You know what I mean? Being able to really lean on those front tyres without getting too much understeer, he can really press his advantage, can't he?
Swizzy's in.
Swizzy bot.
Katie the Kai's carry on going. What's the bet? And I don't know if you want to take this bet or not. Will Katie the Kai just keep circulating until his fuel runs out?
You've got to look at it to a certain point, haven't you? I mean, if you're losing, although you're going to have better tyres later on in the race, is it really worth losing a second and a half now?
Well, the pit stop around here, we're losing your audio a little bit there, Kirk. But the pit stop here is quite significant because these cars are whipping past you at 160 plus miles an hour. I don't know what that is in kilometres, but yeah, that pit stop time is what's the killer around here. And we see Simrace 2 still circulating, Chef's still circulating, and they're running P3, P4. So maybe the strat is go as long as you can on whatever tyre you've got.
Yeah, but then that's what I'm wondering is like, what's the plan overall? Go as long as you can, see how long the fuel can take you, and go to a set of hards and making them last for as long as you can, or go for another set of mediums and do the same this time. Obviously, people are seeing it more advantageous to keep running on the warm tyres than to box and take fresh tyres.
It's a strange one, isn't it? It's an absolute strange one. And I personally didn't expect to see that F-Type running in P4 with basically flat tyres. Simrace Dude is in, so he's decided he's had enough of those tyres. But that's Chef up to P3 and still going on dead tyres. Pretty much the same as Katie the Guy, mind you. And yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. Stephen running in P6, maybe up to P5 now, with Koulios right behind on a set of softer tyres. I think this is the battle on the track at the moment, Kirk.
Yeah.
Koulios down the inside of the first curve, gets past Stephen. These two teammates from the roadblock group, so they know each other well. They've raced together a lot of times, and that was a nice clean move. Good to see on track. Koulios with that epically fast line. Oh, not sure if he hit the barrier there or not. Katie the Kai is in, Kirk, so he's had enough of those tyres. So that two flat tyres is enough for him. Mac will go up to the lead.
Yeah, but look at the gap he's managed to pull on Swizzy. As from boxing earlier, McManley takes the lead as he goes over the line, and Swizzy's only halfway up towards the final corner. They've lost so much time to McManley, who boxed early. Is this McManley's race to lose now, is what I'm thinking.
That is the question. All I know is he likes that AMG and he likes being out front. So, is he playing the tactical aware game? Oh, every time I go on board around there, it looks like someone's wall riding. But yeah, you're right. Swizzy has lost in the region of 20 seconds. However, he does have a lot more fuel on board than Mac. So when he pitted earlier on, Mac didn't take on any fuel. So I think keep an eye on where Swizzy is and where Katie the Kai is, in all honesty. But Katie's got a lot more fuel. I think this is a tricky one. I think KD's on the two-stopper. I think everyone else is on the free.
Katie the Kai took full fuel there, and it's put him about 5.5 seconds, 10.5 seconds, should I say, back from Swizzy. This race is really like open. After this first set of pit stops, it's really opened up.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of changes for the lead and all the other places. And we can still see there's some drivers we didn't expect to see where they are. Big Crazy Bertie putting on another great performance in P6. Lee in P7. Fred doing well, recovering after that early incident in P8. And fresh tyres for Simrace Dude and Sarah Hawkey and Chef in P11 currently. So, Looks like all the drivers towards the lower half at the moment have much fresher tyres, a lot more fuel than the guys up front. So we're going to see it dicing and changing again.
Absolutely. For Manley's fuel warning has come on now, so I'm not sure how many more laps he can eke out of his fuel before he has to pit. But then again, looking at previous laps, because Swizzy's got more fuel and not the harder tyres, but Manley's still extending it in advantage by about 6, 7 tenths last lap. Yeah, so right now our fastest person on track is what Manley on the mediums and low fuel. Is that what you would do? Would you just keep going low fuel and basically put a set of mediums, put a dash of fuel and just flat out to the end and try and pull a pit stop out and people behind it?
Personally, for me, I'd be looking more towards what KD the guy is doing. But Mac has definitely got an interesting strategy. It may come into play a bit later on. KD the guy is 34 seconds behind Mac, but with fresh hard tyres and a near full tank of fuel, which obviously Mac has the opposite of that. So I would expect Mac to be in this lap, but that will give the lead to Swizzy. And Kyrgios is still doing well, only 3.3 behind Swizzy, so showing well in third place at the moment. And shout out actually to Stephen running P4 in that 911, also doing well. So a lot of very unexpected positions at the moment, Kirk.
I think Stephen pitted early and just kept it clean and consistent since then. Plus not took a lot of fuel because he's got his fuel warning on. Yeah, if it's working for him, keep going.
Here we go, Max in.
Be interesting to see how much fuel he takes and where he comes out.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that coming out. Personally, I'd be going for a full tank of fuel round here. But Swizzy is going to be coming around to take the lead. Kyrgios keeping him honest, still only 3.3 behind him. And afterwards, we still have Stephen in P4. So he's going to be running, I feel, actually within 15 seconds of P1. So that's a cracking result for Stephen so far. But closing in, KD the Kai in P5. Only 2.3 behind him, big crazy Bertie. So top 6, when this all settles out, are going to be quite close together, I feel. Let's see what Mac's still doing. He's still in the pits. And Stephen's in the pits too. So never mind.
It looks like he's taking a full tank of fuel. And Manley's going to go in a set of hards and try and go to the end. Or at least until about 7 or 8 laps to the end. And go for a full tank hard tyres. He's probably going to be going to about lap 40 and try and go to lap 38, 39, 40 and then putting on a set of softs to the end.
Quite possibly, Kurt, quite possibly. And he comes out just in front of Fred in P7, who's going to be going wheel to wheel with him down into turn 2. Fred taking that narrow line again, and McMalley just blasting around the outside. That's the difference. The line is around here, Kirk. I mean, it's almost counterintuitive, but you want that high line, don't you?
Yeah, allowing the car to load up and just rolling through. Easy enough to do. I say that block, but I'm not actually driving. Yeah, it looks like the gap between Kyrgios and Swizzy is coming down a little bit. The gap's just over 2 seconds now, with Kyrgios being over a second faster last lap. Well, it feels like Kyrgios is going to have to pit again soon because his online media is compared to Swizzy's fast.
Well, as we saw, he might just stay out a bit longer. I mean, the time delta that they were losing on dead medium times is only about a second or so. So he's looking strong, I feel. I mean, he's 10 seconds ahead of KD the Guy. I do feel KD the Guy is playing the longer game, but still to be... Well, we're going to figure this out as it goes, Kurt.
I think right now, depending on the pace, my favourite to win right now is probably Manley. Especially if he's doing what I think he's doing, and probably running deep into the race and then pitting the softs towards the end. I think Manley's probably in the best spot to win this.
Yeah, he might well be. I'm going to put my money on... I'm going to be selfish and say either KD the Kai or Swizzy. So I'm going to go for either of those two, but for very different reasons. Swizzy's looked like he's hooked up, but KD the Kai's playing the longer game. I think it was going to if it's going to come round to the final couple of laps. But also shout out to Lee, who's still running in 5th with his first Nighthawk Racing event. So good to see out there. Let's have a look at the rest of the field. 8th we have Sim Race Dude, who is running in that V12 Vantage. He's on the controller today, but he's still showing a turn of speed. But still only 3.6 ahead of our very own Miss Sarah Hawkey, who's running in P9 in the blue 911. And again, new to the series is Chef in 10th, followed by Stephen, one of our roadblock team, and right on his tail. But otherwise, yeah, there's loads of battles going on, but it may not be all on track, all close on track, but at the end of the day, it's all going to filter around with strategy, I feel, Kurt.
Yeah, absolutely. This is probably at least, as much as I don't like saying it, it's probably the least interesting part of the race. You know, it's really going to pick up again coming towards the end of the race, where possible weather, possible or everyone's pit strategy can join on each other to where we get close battles at the end of the race.
That's entirely possible. We do have to keep an eye on the weather. At the moment, it's looking a little bit misty around the high-speed ring, but that is about it. Otherwise, a nice, clear day. But the time is advancing, and the shadows are getting longer, so it is moving towards the evening. Still, Katie the Kai running in P3, 11, just under 11 seconds behind Swizzy. You may say it's the least interesting for you, mate, but fortunately for me, this is the most interesting bit next to the end itself. The sheer fact we can see a lot of drivers on different strategies tripping over each other a little bit with different strategies. Some on harder tyres on a slower run, some on softer tyres going quicker and trying to get past them. So there's a lot going on and a lot of strategic decisions still to be made with another 26 laps to go. We're not quite halfway there yet.
Unfortunately for Katie the Kai.
Look out front, Kurt. Look out front, P1.
I'm saying that Koulios is now in the slipstream with Swizzy, but I don't think that's going to work, because at the lower line, you really want that higher line for turn 2 if you want to make that move stick, Koulios.
Yeah, it's the same thing Matt did.
I think the Kai might be in trouble now since they're in this because Koulios is down the slipstream with Swizzy. They can work if they're going to work. They can work together to just press their advantage even more. Although looking at Koulios's tyres, I don't know how much longer he's be able to stay out.
No, we will find out if he can stay in the slipstream, like you pointed out. Maybe he can offset the tyre wear. But Fred is in. He's dropped from 7th out to the, I believe, 10th. Yeah, he's down in 10th at the moment. Sarah will go through on that. But it looks like Koulios is trying to stick with Swizzy. But he has lost a lot of time on that final corner, so maybe you called it right, Kurt.
Yeah. I mean, when your tyres reach 0% life, you cannot push them at all, especially them rears. If you put a little bit too much input on, you are just going to go round. We saw that before Koulios pitted the first time, where he had that half spin and that made him lose touch to the front of the pack. You're going to have to be so careful now with those tyres. I think he bumped the wall turn 2 on my screen, causing him to almost lose touch with Swizzy. I think if he can't get back into this slipstream, which I think he's now out of, I think he has to pit. That's his only real option now to be able to challenge Swizzy.
I think you might be right, and at the moment, Mac, your pick to win, is sitting just over 30 seconds off the lead, but he has more fuel than the guys in front. So this is all going to come round, and we're going to see a lot of movement still to come. But yeah, at the moment, I'm keeping my eyes on Koulios, who I think, yeah, there he comes. He's in the pit, so he decided he's had enough there, Kurt, going for a fresh set of boots. Maybe he'll go for the hard tyres next. So I think he might be on a free stopper.
Just looking at a lap time for Andy, you look like you must have an instant lap.
Oh, we're losing your audio again, Kurt.
Sorry about that. I feel like
Manley
must have had a little bit of an issue last lap, causing him to lose a bit of time. He was setting in the 1 minute 10th, and in the previous lap he set at 12.1. So he could have had a half spin or something during that lap. Yeah, I think it must have been an incident as he's now set at 10.1.
Possibly, or at very least a little bit of traffic. There is a lot round here, as we're seeing. All the drivers look like they're quite equally spaced out at the moment. But at the end of the day, for P1, P2, it's currently Swizzy ahead of KD the Kai, who has a lot more fuel, but is nearly 11 seconds behind. So, still a lot to play for. We're over halfway now on lap 25 out of 48. But I'm so happy to see Lee, our other new addition to the Nighthawk Racing group, is running P3, just ahead of Mac, who is an established and very experienced GT7 racer.
Yeah, but look at these tyres. He's going to have to pit again sometime soon.
Yeah, I do agree. Maybe this lap, maybe next lap. But as we've seen, the strategy for what we've been calling so far hasn't happened. All the drivers have been doing their own thing on this race. Yep, there he goes. I do think that's sensible, though.
Just to show you how even they both are, last lap, KD the Kai was 3 thousandths of a second quicker than Swizzy. That's how tight it is at the front of this race.
Well, that's what we saw at Interlagos for the Expo 3. In 8th and 9th, we have Chef, who is being caught by our very own admin, Big Crazy Bertie, coming into the final corner. Looks like he might just about pick up the slipstream. And there you go. I think he's just about got it, and that McLaren is going to be catching up to that F-type across the line. So Bertie making his way back up after that last pit stop. Yeah. As you say, out front.
I don't think it'll be too difficult for Bertie to get past. Obviously, them fresh mediums compared to Chef's quite worn, hard tyres. If he could be quick about it. If Bertie doesn't take his time, I feel like Chef could probably use Bertie as to help pull him along and catch people up, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, there's all those sort of tactics which we're seeing. Anyone who's using a slipstream to their advantage or a bump draft to their advantage is going to be thinking outside the box, IQ 4000 move. But we are seeing Chef and Bertie, they are fighting for this. Chef's not making it easy on Bertie. He's going to the faster line, Chef, and he's just holding his line. And he's quite entitled to do that. This is a fight for position. He's not being lapped. And they're both going high side. It looks like Chef might lose some speed off that final corner after touching the barrier. But here we go. We've got Bertie coming down the inside with a slipstream. No, it looks like a bump draft. Looks like he's going for the IQ 4000 move, Kirk.
We saw Simbrakes have an issue with the final corner, which allowed Stephen to get past and move Stephen up into P5 now. Very good race from Stephen up in P5. But right. Interestingly enough, last lap, KD Kai was 3/10 slower than Swizzy. But that gap's kind of stagnated about 10.5 seconds.
Yeah, they're settling into the rhythm just over halfway through the race, and they're now trading times. But again, we do have KD the Kai with a lot more fuel, but again, he is 10-11 seconds behind. So it's all going to be down to the refueling and the final stop there. Oh, Chef into the tunnel, clipping the barrier, ever so slightly. Let's release Bertie, but we'll see if Chef can come back past Bertie down the main straight, and it's gonna be tight. Will that slipstream for Chef give him the position back? No, I think he's fallen a little bit too far behind in the final corner. And if you look behind, Swizzy, there he is, our race leader. He's coming up to lap. Got to lap Chef and Big Crazy Bertie, but it's not going to be too long before Swizzy's back in the pits, I feel.
Again, this is still pretty much anyone in the top 4 or 5's race.
Yeah, and Mac is closing in. He is, slowly but surely.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's that times compared to the front two. It's still running about half a second to a second quicker a lap. That gap now under 30 seconds. And it looks like KD the Kai and Swizzy are like trading lap times back and forth. One lap KD's quicker, the other lap Swizzy's quicker. But that gap, it looks like that gap slowly coming down. That gap to just over 10 seconds now. But it looks like right now, KDK does have a little or very slight pace advantage over Swizzy. But I
Yeah,
think my money's still Mutt Manley. I think Mutt Manley can have this.
well, we'll see what happens. He has more fuel than the two in front, but is at the moment 30 seconds behind Swizzy, so it's going to be tall order. If anyone can do it, our Matt can. But yeah, again, another shout out to Stephen running in P5, Kulos in P4, and well, frankly, anyone who's running in the top 8 is doing fantastically at the moment. It's not to say that the ones lower than that aren't, but it's how those strategies are playing out at the moment. Lee in 9th with near enough brand new tyres and a full tank of fuel. Fred, who is running quite well and recovering after the first lap incident, followed by Sarah, who is on fresher hard tyres and again a full tank of fuel. So, it looks like it's all going to be playing out. We only have 18 laps to go. That, to me, feels like one more stint. If they can manage to pull off, say, 13, 14 laps, it's going to be tall order.
We have a Lightning Louis who's come back out on track. We have a Louis who's back on track, which is good to see. Although obviously quite a few laps down, I guess is out here trying to set in the fastest lap.
Knowing Louis, our Dark Lord himself, he probably is out there to have a little bit of fun and set the fastest lap, like you said. Stephen in the pits, picking up some fresh tyres and more fuel. So yeah, I would not be surprised if Louis is doing exactly that. And he
still seems to be jumping around quite a bit.
Unfortunately so. It looks like he's staying out the way of the other drivers, trying to find a little bit of clear room. So, Swizzy, under 10 seconds to KD the Kai now.
Yeah, look at KD Kai's tyres. They're really starting to struggle. Although it looks like he should be in a lap or two's time. He seems to be running on essentially empty.
Yeah, I agree with that, Swizzy. Yeah, in very soon. Mac lapping. Stephen at the moment with the Dark Lord himself just behind. And Koulias is still running well, running 44 seconds off the lead. Unfortunately, I think he's fallen out of step of his strategy, and Swizzy and KD the Kite are just pushing longer. And I think Koulias is going to have to pit one more time than the others. Here we go. I think Swizzy's coming in. He must be, because he's running on fumes. Here he goes. That's going to promote KD the Kite up to first place at the moment, Kurt. It looks like race on for the final stint.
I think it's too early. I think Swizzy's going to go hard again. Where I think KD the Kite, if he can push it to about lap 35, 36, he should be able to get away with the soft tyres. But I think it's too much. Well, medium tyres. I think it's too much for Swizzy to take a set of mediums. I think he's going to have to go hard to the end.
I think you're probably right.
Advantage to KD the Kite and Mutt Manley, who can possibly go to the mediums, which allows him to, which will allow him to catch him up towards the end of the race.
Yeah, and Mac into P2.
We see Louis set a new fastest lap in the race with a 1:08.6.
That's a couple of points in the bag.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think any one of our races could beat this today, especially for the Louis turned out on the soft, and that softness is not a good race tyre.
He's playing the system a little bit, but that's what the fastest lap bonus is there for, to play the system. So he's going to be getting a decent haul of points by simply finishing the race. Although finishing 12th, he'll get a haul of points for that, and he will get points for the fastest lap and for the qualifying pole position. So Louis will come away with some points in a race he wasn't due to race start. So that's worked out nicely for him.
No, only round one, so he's still putting himself up there in championship contention. Because a few points is better than no points in this setting. He finished second, didn't he, in the sprint race as well? So
he did indeed.
Nice little haul of points. Oh, interesting. Swizzy taking the medium tile. That might be quite second hand, shall I say, by the time we reach the end of this race.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to be mirroring what he did in his first stint. Just run those mediums into the ground. We know he had the pace of about 1:10 which when you look at it on the hard tyres that we're wearing, his pace was about the same. So...
Oh, KD the Kai in the barrier. In the final corner, he hit the barrier and shoved a bunch of speed off, which is not what he would have wanted.
He's got away with it, but crucially, he hasn't gone as long as we thought he would.
Yeah.
Interesting. He's going to probably have to go medium tyres just to keep Swizzy within range. So that's going to promote Mac to P1 briefly, but he's still got to pit again, I believe.
Yeah. Well, looking at fuel, if you look at fuel compared to Swizzy, he's definitely going to have to pit again. Same with Koulios. I don't think he's going to get those tyres to the end of the race.
Yeah, I would agree on that.
He might have the fuel for it, but I don't think he's going to have the tyres for it.
Right, Katie the Kai's coming out. Swizzy's just gone by. It's race on here. They're going to be coming out about 5 seconds apart with Chef in between them. But we're going to have Katie the Kai, who's going to have the same amount of fuel, but much fresher, well, I'll say much, 2 lap fresher tyres to the end. And this is going to be 14 laps on those medium tyres. It's going to be a stretch, Kirk.
I think absolutely both tyres. I think if I'm Katie the Kai, I'm going to have to push now and really try and get into that slipstream of Swizzy. That is, and you both know the pace of Swizzy. It is not going to be an easy task for that. We look at Swizzy, about 20 seconds back from Manley.
Max in. He's opting for the fresher tyres. I thought he'd be staying out longer. He had more fuel. Yeah. That's going to promote Koulios up to the race lead, who's going to have a lot of fuel. He's only going to have to really stop for tyres and a splash and dash of fuel for this last stint. He may come back into the fray a little bit.
Yeah. Comparing Koulios to Swizzy, it's got about a quarter of a less tank, so that is a lot of fuel he needs to save if he doesn't want to box again. I think probably the win is out of Koulios' hands, but possibly you might be able to catch McManley if he pits in a few laps and tries to take softs to the end.
Quite possibly. Mac out in P5, 26 seconds behind Koulios, who is only 5 seconds ahead of Swizzy. So realistically, Mac is 20 seconds behind Swizzy. I don't think Mac's going to do it, I'm afraid, Kirk.
There goes Mac. We never give up, not until we see the results. I still believe that McManley can definitely reach the podium. As Bertie, it looks like Bertie and both Koulios and Bertie are going to have to box again. So I think the podium's still on for him. Obviously, fastest lap, probably not due to Louis setting it on the mediums. Or was it a soft chassis? Louis back out again on track, trying to set an even faster lap.
Yeah, he's going to be pushing for that. He's going to find a bit of gap, and he's going to keep going for it. Let's have a rundown from 1 to 12, Kirk. Let's go for that.
Yeah, so P1 we got Koulios, who we are expecting to pit again due to fuel and tyre situation. Followed by our net P leader, Swizzy, who is closing it in at a rate of knots due to tyre wear difference. Followed by Katie the Kai, who boxed a lap later than Swizzy, so he's got a slight tyre advantage, although he is 6 seconds back, so it probably is quite an ask for him to be able to catch Swizzy. Then we have Bertie, who again looks like he's going to have to be boxed again, and is coming under increasing pressure from McManley as he tries to charge towards the front of the pack. Followed by Lee, who's putting a very respectable show in P6, with quite a decent gap behind to Steve on his first race showing. And we have Steve himself, who looks like a bit of fuel if he wants to get to the end of the race, but I think it's doable with the tyres. And we have Fred. Definitely have to watch again looking at his fuel.
Oh, losing your audio again, Kirk. I'll take over from there for just a moment. We have Fred in P8, who has, again, recovering from that early incident, running, I believe, just 1 lap down, but he's doing quite well. He probably will have to stop again. Sim Race Dude has definitely fueled up and gotten fresh tyres to the end. We see just behind him, Chef trying to close him down in P10, running his first race for our group, running the soft tyres. So That's ambitious if he thinks he's going to get to the end on that one. Maybe a last lap or two stop, maybe attempting for fastest lap. And Sarah Hawkey running in P11 at the moment, probably still going to have to stop again. And if we see in the background in P4, P5, Big Crazy Bertie and McManley, Mac into P4 now it would seem. So, yeah, thank you for that, Kirk. Looks like Koulios, he's running those tyres. I don't think he's going to go to the end. I agree with you. I think he's going to have to stop again. He's running 2 seconds a lap slower, but I think he's trying to get into that window where he can use a soft tyre, which I think he's there now. What do you think?
I think maybe 10 laps is a bit... It's going to be close.
Oh, he's lost it!
Oh, he hit those... Oh, he touched that inside curb, which just unsettled the car and sent it round. I think that's... Well, podium dream might be over now for Koulios after that one.
Yeah, Katie Dekai goes through. Damage to front end for Koulios. That's unfortunate. I think you called it right there. He definitely... He put that front left tyre on the curbing. The car rode the curb, putting all the weight onto those dead right-hand tyres, and then he's come round. So that is very, very unfortunate. What's otherwise been a fantastic showing from Koulios. Running brilliantly in P3, but sadly 1/2 spin. I think he'll be in the pits this lap, and I think it's gonna maybe secure him in P4, P5, but Big Crazy Bertie I think is going to be on him now.
Oh yeah, I maybe not. I think Bertie's going to have to pit as well. I think, although Bertie has got a decent gap behind to...
Koulios is still going.
Yeah,
he's not stopping.
I think Bertie might have P5 in the bag now. Oh, I say that. In the round goes Bertie.
Oh, big damage there as well. Looks like he's had a catastrophe in the final corner. Fortunately, he's all by himself. We do have... I think Louis back in the pit, so that is a catastrophe.
He's stayed out for another lap.
He has, despite the damage. Well, Bertie will be in. Now that's going to elevate Stephen, who's going to be loving this. But still, he has 10 more laps. I think, do you know what? I'm not sure. I think Stephen's going to have to pit again as well.
Yeah, I think so as well. If you look at his fuel compared to what Swizzy and Katie Kai has, who we know are both going towards the end of this race.
Yep.
I think he's not going to be able to make it. He's going to have to pit.
I think you're right.
Although Bertie's going to have to try and catch Lee, who's definitely going to the end on those mediums.
And out front, it does look like Swizzy stretching his advantage a little bit, doesn't it? Koulios in.
I mean, the last few laps, Swizzy's been running in the 1:09s, and that's just something Katie Kai just cannot live with. And that gap's up to now 7.5 seconds. And since we last checked into it, he's lost about 1.5 seconds.
Yep. With regards to the strategy earlier on, I do feel that Mac has probably been the fastest driver who isn't Louis on track today, who is completely out of sync with everyone else. However, I think he's had an extra stop compared to the front two runners, and that's cost him dearly. Now 23 seconds off Swizzy, but still going strong and going to the end. Koulios back out on track, but he's going to be now 50 seconds down. So that spin did lose him about 10 seconds, plus the damage in the pit lane, the fixing, the extra tyres. He's lost about 30 seconds, but it looks like he has just about done enough to secure P4. Fred into the pits as well. So lots of late stops here with 8 laps to go. How many drivers are we going to see go for the soft tyre? It's going to stay with Fred. Nope, he's refueling. I'll come back to that.
Bertie come out on the soft tyre. So Bertie thinks he can take them softs to the end of the race, which is about 9 laps. And that's interesting to see. So surely he has... Fred's out on softs as well.
So a lot of drivers going for it.
This battle for P5 is really interesting, really heating up.
Nighthawk Racing co-founder Sarah in the pits as well for her final stop. Will she go for the soft tyres, go for a fast lap as well? Louis back out there as well. But yeah, Fred onto the soft tyres. Chef is also on the soft tyres, but those tyres are shredded. I think you can go to the end on fuel, but that front right is dead. I can see the tyre wearing in front of me, so it might as well now just be a train rail. It doesn't have any tread left on it. Let's be honest.
If we talk about dominance of our front half of the pack today, Swizzy is coming up to lap P5. Lee, you know, the pace of our top four is absolutely insane.
I will say this, I do absolutely agree. However, it is a very, very short lap, only 1 minute 10 seconds on average. So if you were to equate that to Spa, that would only be half a lap. So put it into perspective, being lapped around here, I don't think is as significant at many other tracks, but it doesn't take away from the raw speed of Swizzy, Katie the Kai, Mac, and what we've seen from Koulios as well.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
It seems it's kind of obviously as this race is come along, I think this is probably getting towards our finishing order, bar a big mistake from someone. You know, yeah, I think this is probably how our end result is. It doesn't look like we're gonna have any major changes now to the finish. What do you think, Luke?
Well, I think it's now down to just the potential of anyone having an incident or running out of fuel, which, let's face it, around here, both of those are completely possible, even for the front two runners. But it's good to see. I'm personally keeping an eye on Lee in fifth, who just, on fresher tyres, is just sticking with Swizzy. He's just sat behind him, pulling himself along. Lee's doing all he needs to do. He'll finish a lap early, so he doesn't need to save any fuel. Koulios ahead of him is at the other end of the straight, so Lee just needs to bring it home, and he's not doing anything silly and banking some really decent points. I mean, that's, quite frankly, I think a bit of a top-tier little maximisation of his result.
Impressive debut, isn't it?
Quite frankly, yeah. So, let's do another rundown. I'll do the bottom six, you do the top six. Go for that there, Kirk.
So we have Swizzy leading the way. Now after that first pit stop, it's maybe a little bit in doubt. After seeing McManley pitting early, but you know after McManley boxed, you know he hadn't really looked back. But by Katie the Kai, that gap's kind of stabilised around about between 7.5 seconds. Very impressive race again from Katie the Kai. Although he'd be disappointed not to win the race, you can't take it away from him. You know, he's run his own. He pretty much once the rate package spread out, he ran his own race, did what he needed to do to secure a very solid second place finish. Then we have McManley, pitted before everyone else. You know, went a bit early for the pit stop, to where he couldn't eke out the tyres to do one less pit stop, and obviously that hasn't quite worked out today. But yeah, I don't think any way to take away from him. A very impressive podium drive and finish without any big mistakes. But by Koulios, who I'm just thinking what could have been from this race. I think if he played his cards right, he probably could have been up on the podium. Again, well, obviously we both know the pace of Swizzy and Katie the Kai. You know, once you're at that toe, or you're probably not catching back up to him. So I think all in all, again, you should be very happy with a P4 finish. He probably come in knowing that he wasn't the fastest guy out on the track today, but you know, there's no reason to take anything away from him. It was a very solid drive today, P4. And then we have Lee, who's overtaken Swizzy. Probably expecting to be able to pull away from Swizzy, but again, Lee, debutant. Well, as I said earlier, Lee debutant today. No reason why he would be very happy with the P5 finish today.
It's worth saying, while we see it on screen, Kirk, that Lee is allowed to unlap himself. He's clearly the faster man out of himself and Swizzy at the moment, but that might actually benefit Swizzy. He just sits in the slipstream.
I think Swizzy's made a mistake. That gap's come down by almost 2 seconds. I don't know if he had an incident with Lee, as Lee overtook him or anything, but yeah, well, that gap's dropped by about 2 seconons. Oh,
Could
now
be.
I'm looking at Swizzy's tyres. Swizzy's tyres are completely done. His front tyres are completely done. Toasted.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's dropped 2 seconds to Katie Nakai, whose tyres aren't that far behind. But if you want to continue with the top 6, then we'll get cracking and come back to this.
Yeah, and then followed up P6 sim racing dude. Under a lot of his tyres are completely done. I think he's going to lose his position to 30. But again, even then, P7 impressive race, impressive drive from him. You know, can't really fault him for anything. If you want to take down the second half of the pack, Luke.
Yeah, and I will say this for Sim Race Dude as well. I think he's our top driver on a controller as well, and in that V12 Vantage, that isn't easy. So well done there. Yes, on to Big Crazy Bert. He's clearly got the fresher tyres, the softer tyres, and it's a matter of time, unfortunately, for Big Crazy Bertie and Sim Race Dude to swap position. We'll stay with that for just a moment, then we'll finish the rundown. I believe we're going to see Big Crazy Bertie slingshot underneath Sim Race Dude, or at very least go into slipstream and then down into turn 1. There we go. Good little shot there of the two going side by side across the line. Beautiful as the lights come on here at the high speed ring. So, Big Crazy Bertie up to 6th, and let's move down to 8th, Stephen, who is currently, I think, unlapping himself on McManley, because McManley's tyres are shot as well. Oh, that was interesting. Stephen across the curves like we saw Koulios earlier on, but kept it together. So he's going to have to keep his wits about him and beware that Fred in P9 is only only 15 seconds, 14 seconds odd behind him, who is, again, as I've said repeatedly, recovering from an early incident when we had deadlines stopped in the middle of the track, unfortunately. But after that, Chef, who has impressed. Maybe not on his tyre wear on this last stint, but he's still circulating. P10, good to have him here. And again, our Nighthawk Racing co-founder, Sarah Hawkey, who was showing very, very well in the sprint race until a bit of damage. But it has been good to see her out on track, who is going to be picking up a nice haul of points and will no doubt finish the race positively. So, out front, Kirk, only 4.7 seconds between the top two. It looks like the tyre wear is about the same.
Yeah, final lap of the race as well. Yeah, what was it? We've only got 4 more corners, technically 3 proper corners. Is the penultimate corner is just a long sweeper. So really realistically looking, it looks like Caden Kite is finishing second, and we have Swizzy taking the win. I mean, what can we say about this performance? Typical Swizzy performance, you know. He can pack run. He ran in the pack and didn't look too bothered by it. And then once he got into open air, he just went and just never looked back, you know. And here he comes across the line. We have Swizzy winning the race, followed by K the Kai, only 3.5 seconds back. And we think we're going to have him up Manley, who's in between Sim Racing Dude and Stephen. Around the final corner now. Probably not wanted going side by side around there. But it looks like But Manley takes P3, and Bertie 6th, followed by Sim Racing Dude, followed by Stephen, who in the end, Sim Racing Dude only kept the win by less than 1/10 of a second at P7. That's very close. We have Koulios coming across the line, take P4, and our final finisher being Lee. Lee is just coming to penultimate corner now. So we have Chef taking P10. Yeah, Chef taking P10 and Sarah taking P11. It's a good race from everyone. Very impressive race from everyone. Bertie, I assume Bertie might be a little bit disappointed not being able to catch Lee on those soft tyres. But, he can't be angry with P6 finish. Very good. What do you think of the race, Luke?
Well, that was an interesting one. Unfortunately, complicated by a few issues that we saw, which we'll hopefully see remedied for the second round at Autopolis. However, Do you know what? I thoroughly enjoyed that. There was a absolutely bunch load of stuff going on, one way or the other, and it came down to 5 seconds between the top two in the end. Same kind of thing that we saw at Interlagos and the Expo between Katie the Kai and Swizzy, but this time with Swizzy being the victor. It's a shame to see a Deadline have technical issues and Louis with the lag, but he done the best thing by pulling off the grid. So thank you very much to Louis on that one. But otherwise, I'm just going to give a very quick rundown, Kirk, and we'll discuss our driver of the day if you're happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely, Luke. Take it away.
Fantastic. So, out in front, Swizzy with a sprint and a feature race win. And the fastest lap in the sprint, but not the feature. So, there's a bunch load of points there for Swizzy. Followed by Katie the Kai, who improved on his sprint race from 4th to 2nd. Mac with a commanding podium in 3rd. Unfortunately, I think early stop. I don't know if he had damage or not, or opted for an early pit stop. But that threw him out of sync, and he ended up 20 seconds behind at the end. So, unfortunately, it is what it is for Mac on this one. But P3, I don't think he'll have anything to be ashamed of there. He did very, very well. 4th, we have Dreadmite or Koulios, who showed very well, our youngest driver in the field, and has, quite frankly, impressed. And unfortunately, with that little spin, lost him the opportunity for 3rd. But otherwise, very, very well done. Lee in 5th on his debut. Cracking response, and the last of the top lap finishers, so well done there. Big Crazy Bertie, despite a big spin, luckily on the final corner, went straight into the pits, finishes P6. Sim Race Dude, our top controller driver, on P7. Then we have Stephen in P8, one of our roadblock racers. Worth saying that Koulios is as well. McManley has featured with us as well, so we have a whole group of us here. But cracking race from Stephen, did very well, running very high and even in the top 2 or 3 at one point. Fred in P9. I'm going to keep saying it. He had to recover from a very early incident, but has done very well. Only 1 lap down after that big collision. Chef, absolute pleasure to have him here in that F-Type. Has gone on an interesting set of strategies today with those soft tyres at the end, but has made it round, and it has been great to see him featured, and hopefully for the rest of the series we'll see more of him. Sarah in P11, last of the finishers today, but will still get a handful of points and did feature very, very well in the sprint. So I think there's a lot to unpack there and a lot of positives to see from either the sprint or the feature for every single driver in there. And to round out the others, we had Deadline, who will technically be P13 rather than Louis Dabod Racing TTV. But yeah, I mean, Louis will take the points for the qualifying pole and the fastest lap feature race. So that rounds out our top 13.
Yeah. Could I just mention, if we take out Louis, who was just going for fastest lap in the race, pretty much everyone had their fastest laps within 1 second of Swizzy. Well, not even fastest Swizzy, even said the fast lap. Koulios had the fastest race lap while Louis, and everybody is within 1.5 seconds of that. So, you know what I mean? Overall, although the gaps did spread out during the race, the raw pace from everyone is still tightly packed together.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to see. I mean, it leads us into Autopolis next week as a potential really, really good showing from a lot of drivers. So, Kirk, driver of the day, and I mean, all right. I'll tell you what. We'll cut this up 3 ways. Okay, a sprint race individual driver, a feature race driver, and across the pair. If that makes sense.
Okay. Oh, this is difficult. I think probably for my sprint race driver of the day, I have to go for Swizzy. Obviously, Swizzy starting in the sprint race, starting P12 and winning that race with an impressive overtake on Louis on the final lap to win it. So I think Swizzy has to be my driver of the day for my sprint race. I think for my feature race, it's probably Katie the Kai, started P4, P5, and finished second not too far away from Swizzy. And was always in touch, always threatening Swizzy in case Swizzy made a mistake. Katie Kai doing what he does best, running a clean, consistent race. So for my feature race, Katie Kai takes my feature race driver of the day. But for both events combined, the person who impressed me the most has to be Koulios. Sneaking that podium in in the sprint race and then always being up towards the front, especially in that first stint on the feature race. Koulios, with his pace that is, although he may have ended up 40 seconds behind the leader, the raw pace is definitely there. If he ran a similar strategy to what Swizzy or Katie the Kai ran, I feel like he would have been right up there with the both of them. I think unfortunate strategy call, but for pure pace and performance alone, Koulios takes my driver of the day for the entire event. What about you, Luke?
Do you know what? I'm going to start at the back as well. I'm going to give that to Koulios as well for the combined. So, yeah, it's been an absolutely impressive showing from him. However, I will disagree with you for this. Well, no, I'm going to agree with you for the sprint. Swizzy taking the lead in the last lap or so and just coasting over the line with basically zero fuel. Yeah, you can't deny that. Going up against Louis and Katie the Kai, absolutely outstanding showing. But for the feature race, I'm going to give it to Lee, who has finished on the lead lap as such aliens as Swizzy, Katie the Kai, and Mac, and given a very, very representative and respectable showing. So, but I do think all drivers out there have a lot to be proud of for even just getting to the end and having a lot of fun in a lot of the races. So, again, it's a shame that we lost Deadline through the technical problems, and Louis as well, but it's been good to have them here and hope to see them later in the series. So, yeah, I agree with you, Kurt. Koulios, as far as I'm concerned, driver of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Can't
it
really
was
say
very
more than
impressive.
that, can we? Right,
No, on to next week. See what you can do next week.
exactly that. Next week is a very, very different track. It will be Autopolis, which is a very tight and twisty track. Basically the opposite what you can have to this one. So we will have a slight change as well. Sarah Hawkey will be taking the host for the commentary role, and I will be driving. So you'll see me out there instead of Sarah, and you'll have to. You'll get to listen to her rather than have to put up with me for the commentary alongside Kirk as well. Otherwise, yeah, Autopolis. It's completely opposite kind of track. I look forward to it. It's going to really put all the drivers that have done well through a different challenge, and I think we'll see a change of the order one way or another there. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Autopolis, complete opposite of High Speed Ring, a lot more technical, a lot more easier to accidentally touch some grass and go wide. So I think someone who can keep it clean and consistent, not make many mistakes, can definitely do very well right there. Um, so I'm not sure how you feel about it, Luke, but I think it'll be quite a good showing next week.
I would agree with you. If there are any drivers that are listening, that if any of the top three are listening on the race feed at the moment on YouTube, feel free to jump into the podium box on Discord. We can have a very, very quick chat. If Kirk, if you want to go over there for a moment, I'll meet you there.
Yeah, absolutely, no worries. I'll see you in a minute.
So if Mac, KD, the Kai, or Swizzy are available, feel free to jump in. We'll have a quick word with you and go from there. But otherwise, that is more or less the end of the stream. We'll hang on for a moment, see if we get to chat to one of the podium racers. They're more than welcome. We do have a Swizzy in a box, our race winner. So, Swizzy, cracking racing out there, man. It's good to see you. How did you find it out there?
Thank you. Yeah, it was basically unknown. Like, power is very high, and I was testing like how last my tires can last or how long they can last. But I realized that hards and mediums they wear both very quickly, so I just did what I felt right. So
It worked out nicely for you, and I have to say, with your driver profile, I appreciate your homage to a slight Mika Hakkinen, one of your fellow countrymen. So,
yeah, he's a legend.
but cracking racing out there. Kirk, do you have any questions for us, Wizzy? You with us, Kirk?
Yes, I'm here now. Sorry. Swizzy, what made you think that running on tires that were heavily worn was quicker in the end? Was it just from practice, or was it just on the spur of the moment type thing?
I just realized because it's 48 laps, and if mediums can last, even with saving a little bit tires, they can last maybe only 12, 13 laps for me. I'm not very good with tires, and with controller, it's always been a struggle for me. So I just realized that the lap times, they doesn't drop that much. Like, yeah, you can maybe sometimes even do 1.5 seconds slower laps. But I just realized that we need to do as less pit stop as we can because the pit stop is quite long, especially if you need to refuel a lot. So my plan was actually like even do more laps on the first stint, and I was hoping that guy would end up pitting before him. And there was a moment that I thought it was a mistake, but luckily my tires or the cap was big enough, so yeah.
Well, I've got to say, I think you did the exact right thing there, because I kept forgetting you were our top controller driver. I kept thinking it was Sim Race, dude. I always forget you're on controller because you're absolute raw speed out there, and you say you're not good on saving tires. I mean, you clearly managed it as well as anyone else out there today, and you came away with a win. And I'll have to admit, I thought there was one point when KD Nakai was going to jump you somewhere after the final pit stop, but you gauged it perfectly, man. So well done.
Yep, thank you. I mean, there were so many things happening. Like when Kai was like around 5 seconds behind me, I thought that the gap would have been like 8, 10 seconds. So I was a little bit worried. And I also did some testing with other cars, AMC, and I wanted to see the stop speed, and I thought the GTR can't even fight for the podium. So I'm happily surprised, and I take the win.
I don't blame you. You did very well, man. And then on top of this next week, a very different challenge. So thank you very much, man. And I will have no doubt have a chat with you at some point over Discord. Any final remarks?
Not really. I just want to thank you, everyone. It was, at least for me, very clear race, and thank you for the commentating team, as always.
Anytime, my man. Anytime. So, pleasure,
All right,
man.
Swizzy, thank you.
Take care, man, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, take care. See you.
Cheers, man. Right, if we have KD Nakai or Mac around, I'm more than welcome to jump in. Otherwise, I think we'll call it there and call it an end to the stream. But Kirk, that was cracking, wasn't it? He really took the feature race and came away with a win after you thought Mac was going to steal it, and I thought KD Nakai was going to steal it.
Yeah, honestly, I thought McManley walked in early was the way to go. It's the way I would have gone. But obviously, in the end, it didn't quite work out the way what I personally expected to go. And in the end, Swizzy won. Obviously, a very, very impressive drive from Swizzy, as always. He's always towards the front of the pack. Obviously, always
For
a
good reason,
very
yeah.
strong driver. So yeah, in the end, it never should have been in doubt, should it?
I never doubted. I may have said someone else might win, but I never doubted. But right, I'm going to say we're going to call it there. I'm going to put the replay on from the feature race for the opening lap or so. By all means, feel free to stick around and enjoy it. But that is the end from myself and Kirk. As I said before, next week, Autopolis. So, a very different challenge. Something to look forward to, Kirk. Is it a favourite of yours or a track you hate or anything to that effect?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's my favorite track, but I certainly have a little bit of experience around Autopolis. Obviously, it was on Need for Speed Pro Street as a track. But yeah, as I said earlier, a lot different from high speed ring, much easier to make a mistake on. So I would definitely recommending our drivers to practice more for topless. Learn your braking points. Learn where you can like lean on the car a bit more. Um, I say don't be afraid to maybe use the tires a bit more. Obviously, um, using more tires allows you to go quicker. Obviously, expensive tire wear. But I think next week we won't see the hard tire as much. I feel like um, Autopolis is a lot slower circuit. Obviously, not as much banking neither, so you should be able to lean on tires a bit more than you can around here.
Yeah, today is very much the worst case scenario when it comes to tyre wear and fuel. It's flat out and multiple high speed corners. Autopolis is much more of a track, whereas high speed ring just is designed to shred tyres and rinse through your fuel. So we'll see a lot more in the way of general racing and strategy next week instead of Monza style slipstreaming. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As I said, I'll be driving there, so I'm looking forward to it twice as much. And then otherwise, I'm going to say that's going to be the end for tonight. That's all from myself. I'm Luke Taylor, always known as Midnight ISO. And I have been joined by the Kirk Stancer. Say goodbye, Kirk.
Yeah. Goodbye, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the race as much as we did tonight.
I'm sure they did. Right. Catch you later, everyone. See you all again soon. In 1 week,
Yeah,
next
see you next
Wednesday
week.
at 8:30.